Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another retro review from past seasons of the Loud House. In today's video, we take a look at the season 1 episode where everyone has a secret and Lola uses them to her advantage. Today's episode is titled, A Tattler's Tale. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with all the kids, minus Lola, having a sibling meeting where they talk about some of the secrets they're keeping hidden from their parents. They refuse to let Lola in on their meeting since they believe she'll blab everything like she's been known to do in the past. However, despite not telling her anything, Lola seems to know what those secrets are and forces her siblings into doing whatever she wants to keep those secrets from getting out. When Lincoln discovers how Lola had been eavesdropping on their conversations, he tries to dig up a secret on her and hears one from a disgruntled Lindsay Sweetwater. Surprisingly, Lola takes the fall for all the bad things her siblings kept hidden from their parents and admits to why she acted the way she did. The episode ends with Lola finally being trusted to be part of her siblings' secrets club, only to blab about those secrets to her stuffed animals. Okay then. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. If there's one thing this episode managed to accomplish in hindsight, it would be setting up the kind of character Lola can be throughout the series. When it comes to getting things to go her way, she's just conniving and calculating enough to do it. She even makes sure anyone who tries stooping through her room gets what they deserve, as Lincoln painfully found out. A lot of what Lola did in this episode reminded me of how she acted in Sound of Silence, but I have to say her plan to get what she wanted was done much better here. I do have a few issues on how her plan was carried and ultimately found out, but I'll get back to that in just a bit. Anyway, if sleuth or consequences was any indicator of what would later happen in this episode, a little sister like Lola being the one to tattle on her older siblings is far too common of a thing. I admit I've done what Lola used to do, and you can look up why little kids like to tattle as often as they do. Whether it's to exert power over others, or if they think there's some kind of reward in blackmailing family, Lola took full advantage of the situation, and her siblings were not about to risk getting punished, no matter how deserved it was. The best thing about Lola's siblings in this episode was how I felt about them in the episode Cover Girls. They trust each other enough to not only keep secrets among themselves, but also to not use those secrets to their benefit. That's the mature thing to do, and I can see why they thought Lola was still too immature to be trusted with those secrets, despite her saying she won't snitch anymore. She needed to prove to her siblings she was no longer going to be the family tattler, yet the way she furiously threw down her tiara and stomped away to tell their mom she was being excluded wasn't exactly a step in the right direction in proving she's mature. Obviously, Lola had no problem snitching whatsoever if that's what it took to spend time with her siblings, and that's all she wanted from the start. She felt left out of secret meetings and thought threatening everyone with blackmail was her only way of spending time with them. She realized that wasn't the mature thing to do, and seeing how she was put in a stalemate after Lincoln threatened to tell their parents her secret if she told them theirs, effectively ending everyone's forced quality time with her, she thought taking the rap for everyone else would put things right, and strangely enough, it did. As much as I consider Lola a negative in this episode, she's also a positive for having a big heart to do something no one would have expected her, of all people, to do. She's the kind of girl most would be afraid of and not want to make her mad, as seen in Toads and Tiaras. However, her collective confession and grounding at the end showed a much different side to her character. She came to terms with how blackmail can work both ways, and how earning one's trust is better than manipulating others. Clearly, she still retains a little bit of what she displayed here in future episodes, but she always comes around by the end. And yeah, technically she's still a low-key snitch during the final few seconds of this episode, even going so far as to say, "What do you expect? I'm Lola Loud," which means she didn't really change all that much. But hey, she only tells secrets to her stuffed animals, and it's not like they'll tell anyone. Or will they? Now, as far as the good things of this episode go, like hearing Mozart's Ein Klein Nacht music being played several times in the background, and getting a somewhat visual on-screen debut of Lindsay Sweetwater, there are some moments in this episode that left me either confused or underwhelmed. When Lola threw down her tiara, which was wired with a microphone to hear what everyone was saying, I tried to figure out why Lana or anyone didn't think to give it back to her after their meeting was over. Maybe they thought she'd be back for it later? It just seemed a little too convenient for that tiara to be lying on the floor for the longest time, and yet no one thought to take it out of Lori and Lenny's room, especially the the two who sleep there every night. Also, while I'm willing to accept the idea of Lola figuring out everyone's secrets thanks in part to Lincoln recapping said secrets after Lola left, there's still one puzzling aspect to her plan. Unless everyone else called a sibling meeting without Lola being aware of it, how did she not become paranoid when she found out her siblings discovered her hidden microphone and were planning to find a secret of her own when they were talking while their conversation was still being recorded? Once again, a little too convenient to push the story forward, and yet that convenience could explain how Lola was able to professionally cover her tracks, as Lynn pointed out, so Lincoln wouldn't find anything incriminating in her bedroom. I mean, unless Lincoln throwing down that tiara was enough to break the mic, which I don't think it did since his sister threw it down the same way, Lola could have overheard them scheming and plotted to make sure their plan would fail, and it technically did for a while. However, the biggest problem I had with the episode was not finding out what Lola's secret was. That was the biggest letdown since it was the kind of dirt that not only her pageant rival knew, but it was enough to get her in trouble at home. Whatever it was, I don't think Mr. Sprinkles would tell anyone. Lola gives him too much money, quite literally, so there's zero chance of him being a blabbermouth. Either way, that's how the episode ended, and, well, that's all I can say about it. Overall, this episode is just alright, nothing too spectacular. It was a good episode for the development of Lola's character, and the story played well to how younger siblings will usually tattle on their older siblings, something we've all done at one point. The Mozart background music was a nice touch, the kids showed they weren't a bunch of rats, and learned to trust Lola after she took the blame for everything they did if it meant putting things right. The plot holes with the microphone tiara, and never finding out what Lola's secret was, despite it being the main reason why the second half of the story played out the way it did, leave a lot of unanswered questions, but even so, the ending had a good enough payoff, and Lola not fully changing her ways was to be expected. I mean, this is Lola Loud after all. With that said, I give A Tattler's Tale a 7.3 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of A Tattler's Tale. We may not have officially found out what Lola's secret was, but what do you guys think it was? Write down in the comment section of this video and let's see what it could be. The possibilities are endless. So, as far as this episode goes, what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.